I got this request to analyze this home. It is a potential flip. There is a potential offer for a fairly low amount on this property. It's been in the market for over 140 days, have not sold. So there is an opportunity to potentially flip this house. It needs a little bit of work. It's not the worst house in the market, but it is definitely not the best. It's been relatively easy to analyze up until a certain point. So the flipper who was interested in flipping this home said that he considered the ARV to be about 220, 320 on this property. He wanted me to verify the ARV and to ask me whether I thought a certain price would be a good idea for this. This is where I decided to record this video because this specific house is very instructional on how a seemingly easy question of what would be the ARV for this home can be trickier than you expect. Let's take a look. So first thing that we notice when we start looking at the property is that it is not a standard one-story home. In fact, for Texas, it is a bit of an unusual. I see this kind of layout a lot in other states, but not in Texas. The downstairs is just the garage. And then you have to go from the garage upstairs in order to get to the main floors. So this will come a little bit later into my analysis and how it affects the ARV. Then if we look at the property, we see that even though it has no outstanding, no horrible features to it, it is definitely not what you would call a flipped home. It requires a little bit of work to make it more desirable. If you look at this flooring, if you look at how this flooring transition is, if you look at these baseboards, you will see that there is something off about this property, so I would pay attention to that. Also take a look at this leak right here. You need to find out where that comes from. I like the ingenious idea, whoever worked in this house before, you see how the microwave is done? It's kind of an odd shape. And that just tells me that this entire house is full of odd little shapes that you have to accommodate. Okay, we are scrolling through just to make sure we don't see anything weird, and we do see some things weird. So for example, you see this little line right here. I'm starting to suspect this might have a little bit of a shift in the foundation. I'm not mentioning all the obvious stuff like a dirty flooring. I did notice in the previous photos that there was a little bit of bulking around the windows, so I would be not surprised if there is more than just a little bit of shifting in the foundation. I saw it in a couple of other videos, and I wanted to show you because the flipper, when I talked to him, I said, did you see any foundation issues? He was surprised. He was not even looking at it, even though the pictures clearly show signs of foundation distress. Don't see it so much in this video. There were a couple of more photos that showed it more clearly. Oh, there are fewer photos here. The previous listing, the one that got canceled, had more pictures than that. But anyhow, what's important about this specific house is that if we take a very simplistic approach and say what would be the ARV of this home. So what do we know about the home? We know it's a 4-bedroom, 2 baths. It had a 2-car garage, 2,100 square feet, 1966, almost 1/3 of an acre. We don't know much else about it, but this is good enough to get started. So our start of the analysis, we need to take note that we are dealing with a 1-story home sitting on top of a garage. So this is a little bit more like a 1.5-story home. So let's take a look at our comps. Number one, I took a look at the comps. I excluded all the comps that were over the Artemisia Boulevard just in case. And then I left some comps across the Sycamore School Road because on price point, they were exactly the same as the one that are on the south side of Sycamore School Road were very similar to the one on the north side. So I actually kept both parts of the Sycamore Road in my analysis because I didn't see much difference in the age of the building or in pricing. So in our results, we can see that there is an interesting picture that starts to develop. We have five actives, one pending and four closed. Notice that there is no active under contract. And the one act and those active that's been there for a short moment. 34, 34, 150, 24, 48, 180. That tells me that in the last 24 months, I think 24 is the shortest number of days in the market, none of these properties have moved. So within the last months, there has been no movement in a neighborhood. Everything that was purchased a little bit earlier. To me, that indicates a slow moving environment. That's just the beginning of our problems. If you take a look at those properties that are for sale and are being sold, so what we see here is a very standard home, and the master bedroom is on the second floor. So we have a second floor master, but nevertheless on a downstairs, we still have the kitchen and the living room and all that other normal amenities. In most other cases, we have a single-story home. See, single-story, 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 and so on. I scroll through them to try to see if I can find another instance of a home that would have no living space on the first floor and all living spaces, including the kitchen and including the living room, on a second floor. And I did not see any homes like that. This is, so we have two-story homes, and the rest are single-story homes. So this to me presents a little bit of a difficulty, because we know after we scroll through all of these comps, and I'll show you the breakdown in a second, we know approximately how much a two-story home with the living room and the kitchen and other amenities being on the first floor, we know how much they would sell for. See, second primary bedroom on the second floor. The master bedroom is on the second floor, but at the very least, most of the non-living spaces like kitchen and living room are downstairs, and there is no stairs to climb. So if somebody wanted to stop by and visit and sit with the kids, like grandma or grandpa would like to stay and visit and watch the kids, hypothetically, they had the first floor, the entire first floor to themselves to do that. So to me, we already know that the people are willing to buy a two-story home with a master bedroom on the second floor, and we know that they're willing to buy the single store or the one-story home. But we don't have any comps showing how well a house with the first floor being only the garage and all the other rooms being on the second floor where you have to climb a staircase, we do not know how much that would cost. So let's take a look. When the flipper asked me what I thought, he said that his personal analysis using his tools indicated a resale price, ARV of 320. Let's take a look whether or not that is true. Those are the closed comps. And we can see that the closed comps go from 292, which is the lowest comp in this analysis, to 320, with 320 being the highest comp. Now notice that this comp on a size and on the year of build is very close to the one that we have. And so is this one. This one is a little bit bigger. Ours is 2,100 square feet, but it is approximately the same the same year built. And so is this one. This comp is 2016, and in my opinion, if an appraiser came upon this comp, he probably would not even use this comp. So let's just say that these two comps are the closest to what we have. Both of them are at 320, so the investor assumed that his house would have an ARV of 320. But would it? Let's take a look. This is Prelude and Heirloom. So let's take our Prelude and Heirloom just to see what their configuration looks like. So this is the Prelude home, sold for 320, right? 303, sold for $303, with seller paid $8,000. So the actual price was, yeah, it sold for 303, but because seller paid $8,000, technically it sold for $295. But notice that it is one story, and it's not terribly updated. We have definitely not updated. It definitely needs some work. So 303 minus 8 will do the sale price. So this one story, no stairs to climb. Let's take a look at the heirloom. So we see the heirloom have almost the same configuration as the Prelude. It has approximately the same shape. This one sold for 320. So let's take a look. Okay, freshly flipped, nice shiny, nothing ugly, fully flipped, fully flipped. So we know that a fully flipped home that has no stairs to climb and it has a flat configuration would sell anywhere between 303 or 195 and 320. Great. But let's take a look. So should we conclude that 320 is the true ARV for this property? I am not so sure. Because again, let's look at the configuration of this space. This configuration looks very similar to this configuration, except for one small detail. How do you get, when you drive up to the property, how do you get from here to here? So let's look at the use of this space. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, so you would assume that a family with a bunch of small kiddos would be the perfect target audience for this property. But now tell me, if you are a family with, let's just say, 3 or 4 kids, and what you need to do is you're driving out to get some McDonald's food or whatever, kids are with you in a car, and now you need to bring the kids downstairs, from here downstairs, and then once you come back, you need to get the kids into the garage and then get them upstairs. And it's not a short, as you can see, it's a pretty steep walk down. It's not a little short walk. It's not just one step. It is like a serious climb. So, and also, you know that every day you go to work or you need to run out to do anything to get your car out, you have to climb the staircase. That to me, I will be honest, eliminates about 50% of all parents with children right away. Many of them will say, I'm not sure I want to have that much stairs in my life to climb. Every time I need to go out, I don't necessarily think that, let's look at this. Imagine that they have guests who come over, and now they need to bring in guests. And imagine it's a Christmas party with a couple of grandpas, a grandma, an aunt, and an elderly, father-in-law. How are all those people going to get up the staircase from here? If they have to go through the garage, great. Now the same people, now granted, garage is probably not quite as dangerous because there's no rail or no nothing. On this one, garage hopefully has rails, but still, can you imagine a whole bunch of 90s and 80 years old relatives being able to climb up and down just to get to even the dining room table or to get to sit in your living room? How many of them will not be able to come and visit at all? because they're unable to climb stairs as well. Also, let's just say that maybe you're healthy and you have good knees and you have good hips. What if you need to get your mom or your mom and dad to come and watch the kids while you're at work? And let's just say that maybe you have good hips and good knees, but your mom and dad does not. There might be already starting to use a little bit of a walker or something. How are those people going to get out there? How are they going to watch your children? So to me, this design right here, no rails on here, no assistance for people who are walking down. Imagine it's pouring rain. Even if it's not pouring rain, it's drizzling rain. I will be honest, I would not risk going down the stairs because if I fall, it's going to be a very hard fall. Or in Texas, we have black ice situation. During a black ice situation, and look at this, what do we see here? We see a mailbox. I actually feel bad for the mailman. But during the black ice situation, how in the world is any guest going to come up and down the staircase? For them to access my property, I have to open the garage. I have to walk all the way through my mess, whatever mess I have in the garage, and get to the internal stairs. So, long story short, if I was a realtor who was tasked with selling this property, I would have to sit and think really hard who would be a target audience for this property, because about 60 to 70 to 80% of families with kids probably would struggle with this purchase because either themselves or their parents cannot handle these stairs day in and day out. And that is 80% of my best pool of buyers. So if those people are gone, then who is left? And what is their reason for choosing this home over a flat home? Because this home is not the only home available for sale in the neighborhood. They have 4 or 5 houses that this home has to compete with. So if it is priced at $320, why would somebody buy that house instead of this one? It has a larger square footage, it is newer, has no stairs. So this home cannot compete. It cannot compete with a similar sized home that is one stair. So this one is 310 and not selling. Good luck with selling this one for 320. For that reason, I disagree that the ARV is 320 for this house. I would argue that based on the comps, now forget about the appraisal. Let's look at what else is competing with you. We see 320, 1,800 square feet. We see 300, 2,200 square feet, newer house, 40 years newer, better plumbing, better electrical. And 310, 206, better plumbing, better electrical, newer house. So these 3 properties will sell way before the strange creature that is 1.5 story tall will sell. It means that the long days in the market will reduce the price of this home. If I was to price this home, it's very hard to price this home because we have no analysis on which to rely on to see how well those homes could sell, or how long would they need to be on the market to find the right buyer. But if I had to guess, I would say that if you were to price this property below all of these, below this $300,000 house, by maybe 20, 30, 40K, if you were to price this home below 30 or 40K below this house, there's probably a good chance that a family would say, you know what? I know the staircase is a big inconvenience, but we have strong needs. We can handle it. We can find a property that price in this neighborhood. Let's grab it. But that is like 250 to 60. Definitely not 320. So you're losing about 60K in order to get that property sold quickly. So this is an example of what looks good on paper, what looks like the correct comps on paper, in reality are not good comparables. Because even though they look like one-story home, all three of them, if you look closer, they are not. Structurally, so there is a name for it, and I'm so sorry, I forgot the name of it. The name is called, like when you're backing up to a very noisy road or to some kind of undesirable neighborhood, it's called environmental deficiency, environmental degradation, because the environment is negatively impacting the price or the desirability of this property. This is what I would call design degradation or design flaw. Means instead of environment putting negative pressure on the price, it is the design of the home that's putting the negative pressure on the price. So I would say that this home is comparable to the others we've seen, minus repairs, minus design degradation, minus design flaws. And how do you price design flaws? I honestly do not know. It's hard for me to say what an appraiser would do or say. But if I was a realtor, I would price this home 30 to 40K below the lowest comp to sell it quickly. I mean, if somebody told me I need to sell it in 2 weeks, this is what I would do. If I have a little bit of time to wait, I would probably put it at maybe to 6 to 70, but definitely cheaper than the rest of the homes in the neighborhood. Why? Because the price should reflect the deficiency of the convenience. So this is all for now. I just wanted to point out that when you're analyzing a property, think like a buyer, think like your avatar buyer, and make sure that what appears to be similar is in fact similar. Because a little bit of a change, just one little small change, can completely remove this house from the list of similar homes being this one. Thank you so much. I know it's been a little bit of a long analysis. I wanted to go over it, and that's it for now. Thank you guys for. Oh, my name is Elena Garrett, and I'm a realtor with Keller Williams Central 75 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.